Hello, welcome again to Aldsidu. This discussion today is going to discuss Aldsidu, the Saxon Heathen calendar, versus the post-Christian Icelandic Misseri calendar. Now, just a reminder to all my listeners, while we Old Saxon Heathens are very interested in what the other Germanic heathens are doing, and please remember, Scandinavians are Germanic heathens. So we're very interested in the other Germanic heathen tribes and peoples. But in the end, we lean towards Old Saxon practice. However, since only 21 Old Saxon poems survived, all of which were extremely Christianized, we Saxon heathens do a lot of borrowing. So we admit that we read the Eddas and the sagas, and we understand these are from Iceland and Scandinavia. We also read the sources on Old English heathenry, Old Frisian heathenry, and other Germanic tribal heathenries, because we understand that the Germanic peoples had more similarities than differences. And therefore, we have a lot to learn and to benefit from reading the heathenry of the other Germanic tribes who venerated the Aesir. So remember, Old Saxon heathenry is about the heathenry of the Saxons in Saxony. Their allies were the Danes to the north, and we have Wittikind, the most famous heathen Saxon, marrying the daughter of a Danish king, so we know that they shared the same faith. We know that they were allies. We know that they got along. So, let me just state clearly, Aldsidu is Old Saxon heathenry. The post-Christian Icelandic Misser Calendar has nothing to do with historical Saxon heathenry. It has nothing to do with historical Old Saxon heathenry for two reasons. One, it's in Iceland, but it's post-Christian. And two, as I'm about to demonstrate, the Misseri calendar is a complete departure from the lunar calendar, the lunisolar calendar. It discards the heathen moons, and it even moves Yule to the solstice. And it gets rid of Sigurblot and winter nights and makes Yule Christianity, the Christ Mass done at midnight by the Pope in Rome. That is what Christmas means, Christ Mass. So what do we know about the Misseri calendar from Iceland? We know that it began in Iceland in the 10th century. And the Icelandalthing started to meet in the year 930 in Iceland, and it was already Christian at this time. We know that the Icelandalthing ended in the 10th century the lunisolar, pre-Christian heathen calendar of Greater Scandinavia. And I must emphasize that this was done only within Iceland. Okay, Iceland's Althing doesn't boss Swedes or Norwegians or Danes around, for example. Okay, what's going on in Iceland is what's going on in Iceland. Now, the lunar moons in this Icelandic Misser calendar, they were completely discarded in favor of 12 30-day months. Now, the word month is the word moon with the TH on the end, obviously. So let me explain how English works. It takes the number 7. The number 7 in English, add a TH to it, you get seventh. Okay? Take the word moon, you add a TH to it, you get month. So taking 7 and turning it into seventh means it's now, 7 is like a sequence of numbers. It's the 7th one. It's in a sequence. It's an order. Same thing with the word moon. When you add a TH to it, you now have it in an order of other months. So the word moon and month are cognate words. A month is a lunar cycle. But here in Iceland, they discarded the lunar moons in favor of 12 30 fixed day months. Okay, and now the months completely ignore the moon. And I know you're going to say right away, but wait a minute, 12 times 30 is 360. And we know the solar year is 365.22 with a lot more numbers after, kind of like pi. It goes on a ways. We know that the lunar or the solar calendar is 365.22 etc. days. So this doesn't make sense. But they inserted a leap week between 4 and 7 days into the summer. So you have 1230 fixed day months with a leap week in the summer that lasts between 4 and 7 days. Okay, and by the way, most of us know that every 4 years we have a February 29th. Okay, um, we can figure this out because we live in our modern world. We understand our modern calendar. But figuring out if the leap week was 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, and 7 days is a pretty lengthy discussion that I'm not going to get into in this video. But nonetheless, this is the Icelandic Misseri Calendar. Okay, it's post-Christian. They're getting away from lunar months. And they've moved some months around. Individual moons are moved around. Einmanuther, which means first moon or one moon, gets separated from Tvimanuther. Tvimanuther, excuse my pronunciation, I'm an American, I proudly admit it. This means second moon. Okay, and Einmanuther and Tvimanuther, first and second moon, are now 5 moons apart. In all Germanic calendars, like Bede is the first to record. His name isn't actually pronounced Bede, but we say the Venerable Bede today. But his calendar, which he recorded in 725 AD or CE, also had 2 Yule moons. I mean, it's normal for Germanics heathens to have 2 Yule moons, but the Icelanders dropped one of the 2 Yule moons. They also dropped Distingstungal. I mean, Christianity introduced kingship. Now, it's not that the Germanic tribes didn't have kings, but the word kuning comes from the word kuni, meaning clan. And a kuning became a king, like a Christian dictator born to rule, appointed by God to rule people outside of his family. Whereas in heathenry, kuning is the word for clan. It means a clan leader. So over time, sure, Germanic peoples became kings, but it was more in an adopted Christian manner. As Christ is a king, the Bible had kings like King David, Solomon, others. The word king in Germanic society, meaning clan leader, became what it was to Christians and Romans. A Kaiser was a king. A Caesar is a Kaiser. So we're getting rid of Distingstungal because we're now, we do a thing in Iceland. We have an all thing, but we still have kingships. We have many famous Scandinavian kings. So we get rid of a Yule moon, we get rid of Distingstungal, and this is all done in the spirit of Haakon the Good. Because remember, they're becoming more like the Christians and more like the Romans who have solar calendars and not a lunar solar calendar. What's a lunar solar calendar? The months are moons, but you use the solstice to determine when you'd insert a leap moon. So in a 19-year leap moon calendar, 12 out of every 19 years is 12 moons, and 7 is 13 moons. So they had this 19-year pattern of 12 or 13 moons going on, and now this is gone. This is gone. And we're moving Yule to be a part of the solstice. And why? Because December 25th on the Julian calendar is when the Christians do Christ Mass, the midnight Mass in Rome on the 24th going into the 25th, done by the Pope. That's what it is. So Christmas Eve into Christmas Day is a big deal for Christians. It's a very big deal. That's what the Christ Mass is. So, and Yule was moved to December 14th because the Julian calendar got 11 days off from the actual solar calendar. The Gregorian calendar replaced the Julian calendar in October 1582. We jumped from October 4th to October 15th. There was no October 5th, 1582, or 6th, or 7th, or 8th. Now, people are going to say, now, wait a minute, in the 10th century, the solstice was really around December 16th. Excuse me. That is true. But, they chose to end Yule moon on December 14th. So Yule moon in the Misseri calendar goes from November 15th through December 14th. Now, I can't emphasize enough that the Misseri calendar is post-Christian, it's Icelandic. So Aldsidu should stick with the pre-Christian heathen calendar, not only known in Old Saxony, but also known throughout the Germanic, Scandinavian, pre-Christian heathen world. Okay, the sagas use the term Misseri 8.9 times for every time the word year occurs. Okay, or 89 times for every 10 times the word year occurs. A Misseri is a half year. Excuse me. So in a sense, all Germanic tribes did have 2 seasons, winter and summer. But these weren't called Misseri outside of Iceland anyways. Old Saxon uses the term year and not Misseri. Some people translate Misseri as a semester. I think they're, maybe college-minded folks. But half year or season is a better translation. I like season because historical heathenry had 2 seasons. It had winter and summer. When the leaves were on trees and when the leaves were off trees. When the grass was green, when the grass wasn't. And the birds were migrating typically during the beginning and ends of seasons. They saw their world, not that they didn't understand the difference between the beginning of summer and end of summer, the beginning of winter and end of winter. It's not the same weather for 6 months straight, followed by more same weather that's different for 6 months straight. They understood that each moon of the year had different weather. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this. A lot of people say, come on, man, of course Yule's on the solstice. And, if you guys have watched my channel, we have rune staffs and calendar rods that state this clearly, that the solstice and Yule are 2 different events. Okay, there's even a different word for solstice and a different word for midwinter in the Scandinavian languages. So Dr. Andreas Nordberg, who teaches in Stockholm and Uppsala, he's a PhD, he's an archaeologist, he shows the rune staffs and the calendar rod. His conclusions in his book on Yule, Disting, and the dating of these holy days, he says the pre-Christian Yule feast occurs at the first full moon after the first new moon following the winter solstice, while the Disting took place at the 3rd full moon according to the same method of calculation. We also have the saga of Hakon the Good, chapter 15, where King Hakon, he makes a law that the festival of Yule, or the feast of Yule, should begin at the same time as the Christian people hold it. Okay, and formally, the first night of Yule was Hokanot, which is midwinter night, and Yule was 3 nights. So historically, pre-Christian time, before Håkon the Good, a Christian king, son of the first king of all Norway. So he is the guy who at least first pushed on the Norwegians, and most of the Icelanders did come from Norway. He's the guy that pretty much said, hey, we got to have a law that Yule is going to be at the same time the Christian people hold it. Why? Because this is called Christianization. And Yule used to be held for 3 nights, but the Christians do it for 12 nights. Okay, but, in Germanic heathenry, you have 3 bloats a year that are 3 days each. Hence, 3 and 9 is very important. People talk about the Valkna, 3 triangles with 9 points. That is historical heathen thought. The Chronic in the Theatmar of Merseburg talks about the Danes doing the 9-year sacrifice. He says, I've heard odd stories concerning their ancient midwinter bloats. I will not allow this custom to be ignored. In the middle of that kingdom is called Letteren, or Lera, and in the region of Sealand, all the people gathered every 9 years in January. That's after we celebrated the birth of Christmas, and there they offered to their gods bloats. Now, Theodmar of Merseburg was not a Western Christian. He was an Eastern Christian, so his Christmas was January 6th. So just saying, after we have celebrated means it's after the Eastern Orthodox Christmas as well, which is January 6th, whereas the Latin Christ Mass is December 25th. Notice January 6th and December 25th, there's 12 days in between them. If you do the math, now you understand. So, what do scholars say about the Misseri calendar? Well, here's Kristen Bjarnadottir. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If not, my sincere apologies. From the University of Iceland, this is what she has to say in her work, Misseri Calendar, a calendar embedded in nature, society, and culture. She states on page 2 of this book, although there's no definitive written evidence as to why Icelanders abandon their lunar moons or months, reflecting on the visibility of the moon as an inhabitant of Iceland suggests several possible speculations. For example, the moon is often low in the sky in the northern latitudes, and the sky itself is frequently cloudy. The nights in Iceland also remain light from April until late August, so that the moon can rarely be seen in the summer even when it is full. Reasons such as these may explain why counting the lunar moons in the summer was abandoned and counting the summer weeks was instead adopted. So it's very clear when you read her book that the Misseri Calendar is post-Christian, post-Icelandic whole thing. I mean, she just comes out and states that. What do the Icelandic sources have to say? My throat is getting dry from talking. My apologies. Icelanding a book, okay, written by Ari the Learned. So this is what he states. It survives in manuscripts from the 17th century. According to this book, an agreement was reached at the yearly parliamentary gathering in the year 930 to meet again after 52 weeks or 12 30-day months and 4 extra nights. Timekeeping by means of counting the weeks and the standardization to a 30-day months appears thus to have been formally agreed upon simultaneously. In accordance with this new calendar, the year was divided into 2 terms, or Misseri, in which the summer Misseri lasted 6 months, the winter Misseri lasted another 6 months, and 4 extra nights were added in summer, a leap week. So I'm technically paraphrasing Ari the Learned here. And his book survives in manuscripts from the 17th century. And according to his book, this is pretty much a summarization of it. You can see where I'm getting the information right here. So, this is clearly something that they agreed upon simultaneously at 930. So, the 10th century Iceland, all thing post-Christian calendar, it's pictured on the next slide. It has 12 different 30-day fixed months, ignoring the moon, completely detached from lunar months. Imanuther is 5 months away from Tvimanuther, and that there's only one Yule moon, and it starts in November and ends in December. And it's a blatant Christian attempt. I mean, it clearly is Christianization moving Yule to Christmas. And please note Thorablot from the month of Thori, which I'm going to show on the next slide. So Thori occurs in January, February. And students in Copenhagen in 1873 decided they wanted to do both the Christian Yule, Christmas or Christ Mass, and the pre-Christian heathen Yule. So the Orkneyinga saga states that Kvens offered a yearly bloat to Thori at midwinter. So in 1873, the students in Copenhagen started Thorablot in January. And what they were really trying to do was to do a pre-Christian Yule bloat, giving it the name Thorablot, which is a new title for it. Why? Because Christmas is the post-Christian Yule. And by doing Thorablot in January, they get to celebrate both the Christmas Yule in December and the pre-Christian heathen Yule in January under the title Thorablot. So really, Thorablot is another title for the pre-Christian heathen Yule, though this title Thorablot is modern. It started in 1873. It's about 149 years ago, if I do the math quickly in my head. So really, this is why we at Aldsidu, we do not follow the Icelandic calendar. One, my family came to America, some of them, because many still live in Germany, but some of them, my line came to America from northern Germany, and this is my heritage. The Misseri Calendar has nothing to do with Old Saxon. The Old Saxon Heathenry, it just doesn't. So, let's look at, you can see the Roman moons. Excuse me. So the Roman moons are here. So you can see, here's the Icelandic spelling for Yule. You can see that it starts in November and it ends in December. And you can see the Thori and Thorablot, which is in January through February. That's when they're trying to do Thorablot, or pre-Christian heathen Yule. And notice that really with this, they're trying to make the summer and winter to start on solstices and equinoxes. Excuse me, they're trying to make summer and winter start and end on equinoxes. It's really what they're trying to do, but it's not really an equinox, is it? It's in October and it's in April. So it's kind of, how do you call it? Heathen in a sense. And it also shows that Yule, if Yule is here, Yule is in midwinter. Here's the proof. Summer starting in April and winter starting in October means that Yule in December is not the midway point between the start of winter and the start of summer. Midway point would be over here by Thorablo. This is very clear. It's so clear. Now, let me give a weird example. Today is December 25th, 2021, and if I were to say that I'm having Christmas dinner on Christmas with my family, right now, if I said I'm going to have Christmas dinner on Christmas with my family, everyone living in 2021, 2022, etc., will know that I'm talking about December 25th. Okay, everyone today, if I say Christmas, they think December 25th right away. I don't have to say December 25th. You all know it. Okay? So if one were to say midwinter in 725 AD in Heathen Saxony, they would know that Yule was on the full moon of Yule moon, and that winter was at its coldest after the solstice. People know that. Even the Roman winter starts on the solstice. Okay, in Chicago, today it is 50 degrees out and rainy. There is no snow. The bulk of the snow in Chicago comes January and February. I understand Christmas vacation shows lots of snow in Arlington Heights, but I assure you, I work in Arlington Heights, actually. I work at E3 Diagnostics, whose office is on Kennecott Avenue, right in Arlington Heights. And, there's no snow in Arlington Heights today. We have not had any snow yet in all of December, but we are going to have snow in January and February in Arlington Heights and Chicago, I guarantee it. The lake effect from Lake Michigan guarantees that snow is coming our way. It's only a matter of time, and it's going to hit us hard. So, and why does the solstice, because a lunar solar calendar pays attention to the solstice and also the lunar moons. The solstice is used to determine when to add a 13th moon. So why is this important? Because when daylight is at its shortest, way up in the North Pole, that cold air comes down southward after the solstice. And winter is at its coldest point after the solstice. Summer is at its hottest point. They call it the dog days of August for a reason. Why? Because the extra daylight causes warmth, and therefore a few weeks after the most daylight, we have the most warmth. That's how this works. That's why the season started on full moons after the equinoxes. And even Bede says this. Bede states in 725 AD, says, "Thus the moon by which they begin their winter season is called winter filleth, a name compounded of the terms for winter and full moon, because from the full moon of that moon winter was thought to begin." So Bede, who writes the earliest Germanic heathen calendar of the Angles and the Saxons, who came from the continent and also probably from Scandinavia, he states that their winter season, and we say filleth, but really Y's are more like U's. So winter fulleth, it means winter full moon. And from the full moon of that moon, winter is thought to begin. All the Germanic peoples did this. Okay? It's not that they did not understand the sun. People think, that I'm anti-solar calendar. Reality is Asatru claims that only the sun is looked at and all the other stars in the sky, including the moon, are ignored. But I tell you that the sun and the moon were used to determine time by the Germanic peoples, and it's really not all that difficult to understand. So I can't state this enough. The Saxons, as well as the Angles, would have celebrated winter full moon on the full moon of winter moon. Okay, the Norse did this on the full moon of Haustmanuther, harvest moon, which is why winter nights is also called Haustblot in the sagas. So those of us in Aldsidu, we're going to pay more attention to Bede than we are because first of all, Bede is writing in 725 AD. That's 205 years before the Christian Iceland all thing. So, and plus, Bede is writing about the Germanic peoples which came from the area where the Saxons supposedly live, if we believe what people teach. And here are some names in the sagas: Veternator, Veternatum, Housebloat, and Decibloat. These are the four most common names in the sagas for winter nights. So here's Gisla Saga Sursonar, chapter 9. Thorgrim meant to have a housebloat on winter nights and to bloat to fray. So here's, as I said before, if I say I'm having Christmas dinner on Christmas with my family, if I say that, everyone today is going to know that that's December 25th. So if we have in the sagas that there's a housebloat done on winter nights, the heathens know when winter nights was. They don't have to come out and say it. And that's why, when you read historical sources, even Latin ones, when Charlemagne is crowned emperor on Christmas, they don't say December 25th. They say he was crowned on Christmas. And we all know that that's December 25th. And it's the same thing here. So if there's a houseboat on winter nights, people are making assumptions that it's the equinox, but it's absolutely not. It's the full moon of Haustmanuther, which is when housebloat occurs on. So, heathens would know this. So nonetheless, our goal isn't to bash other groups. I mean, modern Asatru does not use a lunar solar calendar. It celebrates Yule on the solstice. It follows the Wiccan 8 points of a solar year, and it ignores the moon. Aldsidu, we're not in the business of telling Asatru what to do and when to do. And we're not in the business of telling anyone who follows the Icelandic Misser Calendar what to do and what not to do. But in the end, the Icelandic Misser Calendar ends winter nights because it's Christian. It ends Sigurblot because it's Christian. And it moves Yule, the moon, from November to December. And it clearly, in their own calendar, with summer and winter beginning and ending in October and April, Yule is no longer the midpoint, so it's not even midwinter. This is very basic to us, and therefore, we at Aldsidu, we put our feet down and we say, nope, we are going to follow the pre-Christian heathen calendar of the Danes and the Saxons. So, if you agree with us, you're welcome to join us, and if you wish to do other things, we wish you well. But come check us out at www.aldsidu.com. Everything is free. All our blogs are free. We don't ask for donations. Everything is free. I, Robert Sauce, pay for $406. Every 2 years I pay for my blog. It's free. We will never ask for money. It's my free gift. See our blog site. Visit us on Facebook at Aldsidu Saxon Heathenry. It's a group. And like and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.